All right, hello everybody. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So again, welcome. We're so excited to have you with us and excited for the opportunity we have tonight to talk to you more about Boise State University. And also we're gonna have the awesome opportunity of hearing from the College of Engineering and also the College of Innovation and Design. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. First things first, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Bailey Mallard. I'm a regional admissions counselor here at Boise State University. So I have the awesome job of working with students, much like yourselves, that are interested in Boise State, working on their applications. And I get to help you all in that process and address any questions that you all might have about Boise State University, college life, student academics, and all of those good things. I'm actually an alumni of Boise State University, so I also graduated back in 2021 and absolutely loved my experience. So I'm very excited to share more information with you all about Boise State this evening. With us tonight, we have the College of Engineering and also the College of Innovation and Design, and we're very excited to share all the different academic opportunities, that you can expect to be a part of if you were to become a Boise State student. So jumping into it now, and just giving you a brief overview of what we are going to be discussing tonight. So first of all, like I said, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from those two different colleges. So we're going to hear from them, and then also we'll have a Q&A session at the very end. So with that Q&A session, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to notice there's a Q&A feature. So any questions that you have throughout tonight's presentation, go ahead and drop them down there in that chat, and we will address them at the end. So go ahead, drop them down there, and then we'll make sure to address those at the end of our presentation here tonight. So just breaking it down a little bit further for you all, at Boise State University, we have 7 different academic colleges. So you can expect different colleges such as the College of Arts and Sciences or Business and Economics. As we all, as I've said a few times now, we also have the College of Engineering as well as the College of Innovation and Design here with us tonight. So all that being said, these different colleges have different majors, minors, certifications that really allow you to study whatever it is that you are interested in. So for example, with the College of Engineering, they offer different academics such as computer science, construction management, and various engineering degrees. And then from the College of Innovation and Design, we have different programs such as our games, interactive media, and mobile. So you can pursue different majors, minors, and interests. You can double minor, double major, or even combine 3 different minors to create your own major that's a part of our 3D program. So lots of different great opportunities. But maybe you don't know exactly what it is you want to do, and that's totally okay. We have a couple of different options for you there. First of all, we have a really great resource, which is actually called our major finder. So you can go on our website and look that up, and that'll allow you to type in any different career path, area of interest, and everything among those lines. And it'll actually pop up with different majors or minors that will actually fall in with those different things. And then also beyond that, if you're still truly undecided, we actually do have an undeclared option for our students as well. So this is if maybe you don't know exactly what it is you want to do quite yet. That's totally fine. This will allow you to go through that first year, taking care of your generals, your prerequisites, maybe taking a couple of intro courses to really figure it out what it is that you're passionate about before then deciding and declaring what your major is. So that's a bit of the breakdown for this evening. And now we're going to go ahead and hear from our 2 different academic guests. So first, we'll hear from Don Plumley from the College of Engineering. And then following that, we'll have Dr. Anthony Ellerson with the College of Innovation and Design. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Don.
Well, hello and good evening, everyone. It's great to have you here to let us talk a little bit about the College of Engineering. My name is Don Plumley. As said, I'm actually the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Been here probably 20 years at Boise State. Prior to that, I worked in the aerospace industry and spent some time working with Lockheed Martin commercial space. So I have a little bit of industry experience prior to my academic experience. And I'm a mechanical engineer, and I work in the mechanical engineering department. I teach and do research there as well. So kind of give you a little flavor about me. This gentleman you can see here on the screen is not me. This is Steve Swanson. He is one of our distinguished educators in residence. He happens to be a retired astronaut, and he had two shuttle flights, 1 Soyuz flight. He spent 195 days in space, and he had 5 spacewalks. And here he is working with several students on a robotics team in our engineering innovation studio here, which is completely accessible for all the students that want to participate within the College of Engineering. So it's an exciting opportunity to be able to, interact and hang out with an astronaut just as part of your education. So next slide. Next slide. There we go. All right, so in the College of Engineering, we have quite a few different undergraduate majors. So you can see them there listed on your screen, and you can see it, the little asterisk beside most of them means that there's also an accelerated master's program. So if you want, you can double dip at the end of your technical elective courses and actually take graduate courses and actually shorten your time to get all the way to a master's degree. A lot of people can do that in a 4+1 type of an arrangement, or 4+1.5 or something like that. So obviously a lot of these these wonderful majors, all different types of engineering and computer science. So you have civil engineering, where you can do structural, environmental, transportation type work, bridges, highways, dams, things like that. Computer science, which is one of our most popular majors. We have probably 120, 130 graduates a year right now in this. Obviously, with the world we live in, tech is really taken off. And so you could be a software engineer or a software developer, systems analysis. Obviously, cybersecurity is another hot field where we see a lot of people getting into. Construction management, building different, managing different construction projects around the region, around the world. This is also a very hot field. This has been growing incredibly fast. Electrical engineering is seeing really semiconductor fabrication and design is something that's coming on. It's really moving fast. So we're seeing a lot of students getting into that and finding interest in that, as well as power delivery, energy delivery through power lines. Mechanical engineering, my home area is, you can get into biomedical engineering. You can be an aerospace engineer like I was. You can also do work in robotics and even nuclear engineering. So those are all available to you there. Engineering Plus is kind of a unique general engineering program that offers a lot more flexibility. If you don't know exactly what you want, you can go into this program and have opportunities to maybe get pre-med or get a teaching certificate, or just to really customize your degree. You can do something in that degree. And lastly, our fully online cybersecurity operations, or core program, is a non-STEM majors. It's an opportunity to get into a cybersecurity program and really focus in on the operations as opposed to some of the other aspects. So next slide. So as a student here, you have the opportunity to be really involved in undergraduate research and other experiential opportunities. A lot of different student clubs. I have several listed here. There's 25 or more. You're always adding more opportunities for students. There's a wide range across every major has some clubs, but there's also some clubs like the Society of Women Engineers, where you can see female students and some male students getting together from all different majors and working together in that space. So it's a really engaging opportunity for students. So you can really find your space or your place where you can really get involved in different things. A lot of our students participate in undergraduate research or internships, as noted down there. 80% before you graduate will have an experience like that, which is really impactful. It's really one of the special opportunities at Boise State University to get involved in some of the outstanding research that's being done by our faculty. Next slide. For career outcomes in engineering, it's widely varying. You have you can see there that approximately 70% go into industry positions, which is what I did for my first time right out with a bachelor's degree. And then 10% go on to graduate school and looking for a master's or a PhD. And there are students that go all over the country at various schools all over the country. We have a student going to MIT just this last year. So 82% of the graduates are in those full-time positions are earning a pretty decent salary at $55K on average, or above $55K. And even 36% of those graduates are up above $75K. So that's a pretty substantial salary coming right out of school. And to help with your job search, we have a lot of support from our career center here on campus, but also we have some embedded career coaching within the College of Engineering that's really specializes in engineering and computer science and construction management jobs. And we have several different career fairs that come. I think we had a construction industry career fair that had, I think, 86 employers this last year, just about a month ago. And the career fair for the College of Engineering was just a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually, I think it was quite a bit more than 60 in this case. So there's a lot of people looking for our graduates and coming on campus and really trying to entice them to work for them. They have, like I said, we have a lot of embedded support. We have a brand new student success center, and it is really geared towards developing your ability to communicate and be a leader and be a great teammate at the same time, but also career coaching and helping you develop your resume and your interview skills. And so we're really hoping that we can help you find that wonderful position that you're looking for once you graduate. Next slide. And I want you to know that our classes are really taught by some world-class faculty. And you can see a couple of people here on the slide here. The gentleman in the upper right is Krishna Pakala, and he's a nationally recognized educator. He's been recognized with our society, the American Society of Engineering Education, at the national level and at the regional level, for the outstanding work that he does in the classroom. And he's a leader for teaching, and the work that he does is really impactful across the entire college. And he's really helps other faculty become better, and he's really pushes that. Down at the bottom left, you can see Erin Mannon. She's actually a researcher. She's in biomechanics, biomedical, and she has won some awards relative to her work in baby biomechanics. She's one of the only people in the world doing biomechanics work on babies. And so she was able to determine that some of these cribs some of these cribs that when they're set at an angle like this, that actually causes the young child to turn over too quickly, and it can actually suffocate them. And so she's actually been part of she's received an award because of her research to help prove that they need to take these products off the market and actually correct the design. So it's really an amazing opportunity. And she teaches our statics courses. So she's in there working with students every day, and she has a wonderful background to be able to share that. And then lastly, up in the upper left, you can see Steve Swanson again. This is him taking a team for the microgravity university team down to the Johnson Space Center, and they're actually sitting at the neutral buoyancy tank where they do all of the practice activities for the extravehicular activities for the space station, and they actually go down inside under the water and practice. And so this was a team of students that was able to participate in that activity, and so that was a really wonderful opportunity. And I think that's the last slide for me. All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the College of Engineering, and I look forward to questions down the road. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anthony Ellertson. I'm the director of the Games, Interactive Media, and Mobile program in the College of Innovation and Design. And thank you very much. I look forward. It's wonderful to see all these people that have kind of turned out virtually to sort of talk with us. Give you a couple things in the background about GIM. GIM is in its 8th year right now, and this has probably been one of the fastest growing majors on the campus. GIM itself is what we call a transdisciplinary degree. And what that means is if you're someone who's interested in design and animation, whether it's 2D or 3D design and animation, and object-oriented programming, we take pretty deep dives into each of those areas, as well as user experience and trying to understand how human beings basically interface with technology. Next slide. So here you'll see, this is some statistics, basically U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Really what GIM prepares you for is, I have alumni that are right now working for Bungie Games. I have them working for Riot. I have them working for Rockstar. I have them working for a variety of other smaller game studios around the United States. But that's not the only thing that GIM does. A lot of our graduates are also working for large companies like Microsoft or Apple. I have students that I've sent away for internships at Microsoft and internships at Amazon, and actually who are taking full-time positions right now at Amazon. And really, what's good about GIM is that it kind of prepares you for a variety of different, I'll call them front-end developer jobs. And, so when you're looking at this list, the things that GIM would probably best prepare you for are mobile application developer, video game designer, and web developer. And I'll say something about the web development there. So yes, it's kind of traditional web development, but really I'd say a lot of GIM's degree area focuses on, or I should say, the web portion of our degree area focuses a lot on something called Internet of Things, which is growing in terms of its popularity, and we have a lot of interest where basically students create their own sensors, their own types of networks. We're probably one of the few programs in the country that is taking very deep dives into that area. So overarching, again, GIM prepares you to be a front-end developer. And again, we work a lot with industry. I've mentioned just a few of them, but the list goes on. Let me go to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit about kind of where I think our future is going with this. So next slide, please, Bailey. So this might be a little hard for you to read, but I've been showing this for a while. This pie chart actually comes from Goldman Sachs. So for those of you who don't know what Goldman Sachs is, they're basically an investment and research firm, a very world famous one. And their job is basically to look at industry trends and say, hey, we think this is happening, and to provide advice to other corporations and businesses on what to do. Now, a few years ago, they were asked to do an evaluation of what is called the mixed reality environment, or virtual and augmented reality. And that list I was showing you just a little bit ago with those top 10 names, I have a feeling that in a few years, when we go back to look at that list, we're going to see someone on that list called a mixed reality developer as a part of that. And the reason that they're seeing this growth, right, this pie chart kind of shows that Goldman Sachs was saying that by 2025, just a couple of years from now, really, that the augmented and virtual reality market will be an $80 billion a year market. And believe it or not, that is actually probably one of the more conservative estimates for what that market is going to be. There are others who are talking about 150 billion, so on and so forth. That's wonderful if it happens. 80 billion is still pretty good. And this is very much, again, in GIM's kind of wheelhouse. We do a lot of augmented and virtual reality work for clients around the world. But I like to show this pie chart because if you look at it, you'll notice that up in the upper right-hand corner, about a third of that pie chart are video games for entertainment. But really, 2/3 of that pie chart are augmented and virtual reality experiences that are essentially meant for industry. And this is GIM's curriculum completely. Roughly about a third of what we do is driven towards gaming, and the other 2/3 of what we do is driven towards industry solutions that involve augmented virtual reality, Internet of Things, mobile application development, so on and so forth. Next slide, please, Bailey. So what do we focus on? Well, I've been kind of talking about that. When we're looking at things that we do, when it comes for gaming, for example, do we show you how to make games for entertainment? Yes. But what we like to talk about in GIM is, besides, just doing things for, for fun or for the sake of creating something, GIM is a very intentional major, in that we have this really strong notion of service to our community. That's a really big thing for us. And so a lot of the things that we make have to do with making tools or making experiences that help community groups or individuals do whatever they need to in order to have a great experience. So for us, serious games, what that means are essentially games they use the same skills as a game for entertainment purposes, but really it's meant towards either a therapeutic or a training or a simulation purpose. A lot of the mobile applications that we make, we work with area schools, occupational and physical therapists and speech therapists and special education teachers. GIM's goal is it's an aspirational goal, but we'd like to double or triple the amount of occupational speech and physical therapy that's delivered in our schools. And we've put a number of apps already into the stores that are meant specifically to help people in those areas. And then in terms of Internet of Things, we are kind of working on solutions in the same area. We're also this is just beginning. We're also interested in helping to address problems in our communities with people with early stage dementia so that they can live in their homes longer, as well as working with our governmental agencies to promote a better understanding of our environment and work that we're doing right now, I think, with the Anne Frank Center, the Anne Frank Memorial, I should say, exemplifies that. Now, we've also been in this game, especially the mixed reality game, for a quote unquote long time in terms of technology. And we've actually been nationally recognized for some of the virtual reality work that we've done, as well as augmented reality work. But I'm going to show you an early project that we did in virtual reality, because I think although it's a few years old now, it is kind of emblematic of the kind of projects that we do and the kind of work that we're involved with. So Bailey, can you advance the next slide? So back in 2015, actually GIM was involved with the creation of a simulation for nursing. Actually, the nursing department here on campus came to us. Nursing has a nationally accredited simulation lab. It's state of the art. It's wonderful. The problem that they have with that lab is that it has, at the time, I should say, it had about 16 medical mannequins, and the nursing students practice on those mannequins, and the nursing faculty, not just here at Boise State, but across the world really, would like to see students practicing procedures on those mannequins, each procedure, I should say, anywhere from 30 to 50 times before you do it on a human being. But with, at that time, 500 plus nursing students, and 16 medical mannequins, that wasn't happening. At most cases, they maybe do it 4 or 5 times before they'd actually do it on a human being. And that problem was not solely here at Boise State. In fact, it's around the world. We ended up working with a variety of universities and clinics from around the world, everybody essentially running into the same issue. So nursing came back to us and said, this all the way back to actually 2014, they said, do you think that that virtual reality might be a solution for us? And we said, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And what you're looking at is part of our system right here. You'll see that Sam is up. So actually, most of you might not remember this, but we ended up, we first started working with Oculus Rift Dev Kit 1, which wasn't very good. And Dev Kit 2, which came along as we were getting ready to launch it, did a lot better work for us. But even at those times, and actually even now, right, one of the things that we really had to work with is having to think about not just simply how to present the environment, but also because of what was happening, because this was training nurses, we had to invent our own haptics. And so that means, like, if I'm picking up my mouse here, we had to be able to allow someone to naturally pick up and work with things inside of the virtual reality environment. And so when you look at Sam there, he's got the Rift on, but you'll also see a set of gloves on there. We had to invent those gloves. What we did is we were studying the nurses. We understood how they were working. And basically we had to create, we sewed conductive fabric at strategic places in those gloves. We connected an Arduino to it, and basically we could know very accurately where their fingers were, which allowed us to then translate that into the 3D environment. And Bailey, if you move me on to the next slide, I'll show you what the first version of this looked like. And Bailey, go ahead and just let it run for a little bit. What you're looking at, this is one of the first field trials. And so again, we talked a lot with the nurses and asked them, okay, what procedure do you want us to start on first? And what they said was they needed catheter insertion. And there was a real strong reason for this. 20% of all secondary infections in the United States come from this procedure alone. And it usually is just a nurse breaking sterile fields. So we wanted to really make sure that we were able to train them quite well. So you'll see here the nurses interacting, the nursing student, I should say, is interacting with the environment. If you look down in the lower right, you're seeing the environment that she's seeing. And of course, she's seeing it as a full 3D environment. This is how the Oculus used to catch that environment, though, for presenting it. And basically, she is in a room. She's about getting ready to do the procedure. And Bailey, you can stop it here. That's fine. What's going on, right, is you can see that she is very naturally grabbing things, moving things, pushing, interacting with an environment in a way that she would closer to what would happen if she was actually doing the procedure. Now, the beauty of this particular product that we made is that you can see that basically the nursing student is just in a 10 by 10 office. Right. And so if you had a building on campus, for example, that was open 24 hours a day, nursing students could go in at all times of the day. They just sign up. We'd record who was taking the test, and then we would let them play the test or go through the simulation a number of times, recording their performance each time through. Now, first time it took everybody about 20 minutes to get used to being in that environment. But what we found with this, and there's been a bunch of articles we published on it, is that by the second or third time, really the amount of time that the nursing students were taking to do the procedure dropped dramatically. So it went from about 20 minutes down to about 7, which meant that they could get a lot of practices in an hour or so. And what we were able to do is we were able to watch, like, where are they making the biggest mistakes? And then we could present that back to the professors and say, hey, this is, everyone seems to have trouble here. Maybe you want to revisit this in your lectures or have people practice a little bit more on that. This was our first one. This is our first version. This version cost $8,000 altogether. That's including the hardware. And to give you some perspective, the cheapest medical mannequin, I should say, is about $15,000. So we're about half the price on this. We took this to a second international field trial. My students and I have people flying from all over the United States and Australia and Japan. They came over to visit us, and we were working with them in that second field trial. And in the second version, we created something that didn't even actually have to go into an office. It could just be in a standard computer lab and let people practice there. So I like to show this again. This is how we work, right? So we had to design the 3D environment. We had to do all the programming for the interactions, and we had to think through how all that kind of worked. But in order to get it done, we also had to study the nursing students a lot and understand, well, what are you doing when you're making your when you're doing this procedure. And we had to translate that back into our serious game to make sure that they would understand how to do that procedure in the virtual reality. So Bailey, we'll move on to the next slide. So really, that's just one project. One of the things that I also I think makes GIM a little bit unique is we have lots of projects. Personally, I employ up to about 30 students out of the major in any given year. We work with a variety of clients, both here in Idaho and the Treasure Valley, as well as across the United States, and actually, frankly, around the world. And this is really important for GIM. What we're particularly interested in is having a series of I'll call it industry quality experiences that help you to have a portfolio, so that when you go out and are interviewing for a job, you can say, no, I have worked with people. I've done a variety of different scenarios, whether it's a game or a mobile app, so on and so forth. And if you want to, I can show you exactly what I've done. We find that to be powerful and compelling. Again, our students have quite a lot of, let's just say the job market for them is quite good. We find again that as we're working with our students, we emphasize a lot that when they finish the program, we want them to have a portfolio that has 6 to 8 industry quality artifacts that again will showcase their skills in a variety of areas, whether it is 3D design, animation, object-oriented programming, or other kinds of solutions that they're doing for the people around us. Next slide, Bailey. And that ends my part of the presentation. Thank you again so much. I look forward to answering any questions you might have.
All right, Don, Anthony, thank you so much for sharing on those different colleges. I'm sure We have lots of questions. That was a lot of information and very great information. So hopefully it piqued your interest in one way or another. At this time, we're going to go ahead and address those questions that you have. So again, you've entered those now into the Q&A chat feature at the bottom. So if you have more questions that you would like us to address, go ahead and keep popping them down there. But we'll go ahead and get started now with this portion. So Anthony, Dawn, if you would both join me in turning on your cameras, we'll go ahead and address these different questions for the different colleges. And then also we have a couple that will be about overall Boise State academic life as well. So first, we'll direct this one to Anthony, if that's all right. We had a student that asked, I'm not sure if I'm interested in computer science or GIM. Do you have any tips on deciding between those two?
Yeah, absolutely. We get that question. First of all, they're not mutually exclusive, right? I mean, we do have a number of double majors, but I usually get the question like, what's the difference? And I would say the difference has a lot to do with emphasis. So computer science here and also in a lot of other universities tends to focus more on what I would call back-end processes, right? Like data science or creating algorithmic presentations of information where the work is kind of more in the background of what's going on. Very important work, very good, very good things to know. GIM focuses on the front end. Basically, what we are worrying about is anytime the individual is interfacing with the technology. So again, that's creating the interfaces. That's creating the kinds of experiences that make something compelling, or makes someone want to work with the technology, or makes it easier for them to work with the technology. Now, do we also work with artificial intelligence? Do we work with machine learning? Do we work with like multiplayer servers? Yes, all of those things are also part of our curriculum. But again, it has to do with the emphasis. What are we answering, or what are we trying to do?
All right, thank you so much for that. So we'll kind of go through a little bit of a rotation here. So Dawn, this next one's for you. What math prereqs are required to enter the College of Engineering? Is a pre-calc or calculus class required before this?
Well, I would say that you can, the first course that you generally get in any of the engineering and computer science majors would be Calc 1. That would be like the expectation where you start. But we have programs in place through the Math Learning Center that allow you to pretty much enter at any point all the way back to college algebra and be able to get to Calc 1 within a year. And so actually it's a pretty unique part of Boise State University. So I think I would say if you're ready to go into Calc 1 coming in as a freshman, you're really well set up for just starting right into the program.
Awesome, that's great to know. Next, we'll address a more broad Boise State question. So we had someone ask, if I want to change my major, how do I do that and when can I? So I'm going to go ahead and tackle this one if that's all right. So changing your major is pretty easy. Obviously, it happens. Maybe you come in thinking that you're set on one said thing, and then you think, oh, you know what? Nope, I'm going to switch gears, and that's totally doable. So with switching your major, you're actually just going to go on your student portal and change that. So for example, when you apply, you're going to indicate what you are interested in pursuing. If even from the time of application, as you're thinking about it, maybe you're like, heck no, I want to start with something else right off the bat, you can go ahead, go on your student portal. It's right on your student page. You can go ahead and just select change my major, and it'll pop up with all the different options that we do offer. So really you can do that from the time that you apply throughout the time that you're a student with us. So there's not necessarily a deadline on declare or changing that major, but obviously, the sooner that you're able to land on one, the better. So next, we'll jump back to Anthony. We had a student say, what if I'm not great at drawing? Is this needed in order to participate in game design?
Well, that's an excellent question. So first of all, when you come into GIM, we don't assume that you've had any prior design experience or programming experience. And so we start off right from there and running through the basics on both of those areas to help you become good with it. Now, here's another thing that often happens, right? I'll have a student in the first semester or the first year come to me and like, oh, I'm more of a coder. I can't do design, or vice versa. I'm more of a designer. I can't do coding. And I always say to them, it really has to do with just practice. It is just now, you might love one over the other. That's fine. And that will inform your, your career once you're done. And so, of course, we have folks that are 3D artists for gaming studios, and we have folks who are doing basically programming. But what I always find interesting is that because we get to see like the senior portfolios when they're showing us, you know, their work at the end, which is really, it's just excellent to watch this. I always kind of make a little mental note, like when someone tells me like, well, I'm better coder than I am a designer, and then 4 years later I'm looking at like really beautiful, you know, beautiful animations and stuff, and I think that's just kind of part of the process. And all a person really needs, I think, to do well at these things is to you know, just have the heart to be willing to try.
That's great. I love that. All right, Don, back to you. Do you have a beginning engineering class that goes over all the types of engineering so that a student feels more confident about choosing their engineering focus?
We do not have one of those right now in every program. We do have a program that a lot of the programs have the intro courses within each program that they offer an opportunity to explore that major. And it is something that we're talking about, but we do not have one at this point. Although I would say that that the first year is a lot of similarities between each program in that first year. You know, your calculus and physics and a lot of your general education core courses are going to be the same regardless of which even within computer science. And so part of that could be, you know, you could talk to your advisor and go visit some of the departments and chat with some students. And we have a group of student ambassadors, College of Engineering ambassadors, that are 10 students from all the different majors that are represented, and they're going to different events, and they're actually able to talk to you very specifically about what it's like in each of those individual majors. So it's a really good group of students.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Anthony, we'll go ahead and jump back to you. We had a student ask, what are some of your students doing after graduation? What are they getting out there and doing?
Well, that's a great question. So, well, of course, obviously the ones that are working for the game studios are making games. So I know that, for example, Liz is working on Destiny right now by Bungie, but the others have, the Rockstar folks in the Rive games haven't told me exactly what their projects are. But we have others that are doing interesting work. So I have graduates, for example, who are working with engineering firms that are essentially helping large car companies, large car manufacturers better understand their basically their manufacturing processes or their storage processes. That's one example. I have folks that are working for Paramount doing animation, you know, just strict animation. I have students who are, I should say alums, excuse me, who are working for, again, I would say more of a technical, more of an engineering related firm where what they're making are custom sensors, essentially. This kind of goes back to manufacturing processes where they're trying to understand using combinations of Bluetooth beacons and RFID chips and stuff like that as to, you know, what's happening inside an environment. This is stuff that we all prepare you for, and it's kind of along the lines, if you forgive me, it's Web3. I mean, this is where it's going. Our environments are soon going to be highly augmented reality, and also highly our smartphones are fracturing into a series of smaller devices, and the integration of these devices is going to be the future. And it's definitely what my students and my alums are doing now in their jobs.
Well, that's really cool. Don, this question's kind of similar now for you. Says, do you have a list of companies that recruit for engineering? Do you have information on the job placement rate through the College of Engineering once they graduate?
We definitely have lists of employers. I think so. There's several pieces of that. We have it's a very large list. If I was going to give you, like, there would be hundreds and hundreds of employers of College of Engineering students. Such a wide variety of, we have probably like 400 graduates a year going different places. So it ranges all over the place from, like aerospace, there's we have students working at Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. Just had a student the other day, just got hired on by Blue Origin up in Seattle. SpaceX, we have several down SpaceX down in Southern Texas. It's so there's a wide range, and several NASA facilities as well. In electrical engineering, you're going to see again, Micron's a big employer here locally. Intel, and you're going to see people working in the power industry. That's not really exactly my field, so I'm not as familiar with that one. But yeah, computer science. There's a lot of really small companies here locally in the valley, in the Treasure Valley here in Boise. That's one of the reasons that the computer science department actually moves just a little off campus, and they're right in the middle of downtown, right in the middle of the heart of probably 30 to 40 small business or smaller, more startup companies. They turned into bigger. They're not really small businesses anymore, but they've been growing like crazy, and a lot of those graduates are really co-located in that downtown facility. So there's a wide range. Civil engineering obviously is well represented here in the valley. So we have quite a few, and those companies all come to our career fairs and participate in like the one I said, like a couple of weeks ago, we had our College of Engineering career fair, and a couple of weeks before that, we had our construction industry career fair. And actually, the construction industry is hiring almost all majors in the College of Engineering, not just construction management. So that's a huge area right now. And placement, I think if I remember correctly on the slides, I think it was about 80% right now within a few months of graduation.
Great. Okay, that's awesome to hear. I will go ahead and tackle this next question. Again, a broad Boise State question. So how do I apply to Boise State? So in your senior year, obviously, hopefully you're working on these different applications to different colleges. So with Boise State, our application does open August 1st. And I want to point out a couple of different things. So if you're a friend from out of state, our big scholarship deadline is December 15th. And so if you're interested in any of our automatic scholarships, definitely recommend applying before that December 15th deadline. For our in-state Idaho residents, your deadline is going to be February 15th. So just keep those things in mind. Maybe you're in your senior year right now going through that process. So keep those dates in mind and which one applies to you. The application process is not super complex. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to go ahead and fill that out. And with that, you want to make sure that we get your in-progress high school transcripts. So those are really going to be the two documents that we're going to be looking over for that application. You're going to fill out the application. And then on top of that, we're going to be looking at that high school in-progress transcript. So the 9th through 11th grade year of high school. So great question there. We're going to go ahead and jump back now to Anthony. It says, in GIMP, do students get to design hardware or program right away? Or where do they work up to that?
They get to do both. So no, that's a great question. So the way the GIMS curriculum works is because, like I said, we're teaching these design-based skills and programming-based skills. You have at least one course each semester that focuses on those areas. So your first semester, for example, you start to learn 2D animation, and then over my course, you start to learn basic object-oriented programming. And then what we focus on in that course is 2D games in the beginning, and then we create an augmented reality mobile application at the end of it. The second year in our program is when we really start deep diving into our IoT curriculum, more working with sensors and devices. So we have essentially, you start with interactive physical computing, where you begin to create custom sensor networks and integrate them. We're usually using Unity in the beginning. And then during later that year, you begin to integrate, again, your own custom devices that you're making, or sometimes we buy some commercial ones too that we find to be quite powerful. And we show you how to integrate them into web applications using React Native, Node.js. And then by the junior year with me, we're using iOS, but we're using iOS with peripherals. So we're using Bluetooth beacons to help us better understand where you are very exactly inside of an environment. because that's really, really important to having a very powerful augmented reality experience. So it's kind of all the way through that way that we're kind of touching those things. And then each time it's project driven, right? So, and if I can, and the other professors too, we try to have it with the client so that you can, and that also starts pretty much first year, not first semester, but probably by your second semester, we do our best to try to get you start working with clients. For example, this year, we're working with actually a musical artist, MNDR. We're creating a virtual reality concert for her. And that is, it's mostly our seniors that are doing it, but it goes all the way down to our freshmen, because the freshmen are also going to help to create certain artifacts and certain mini games for that environment. And the beauty of that is we get to work with her as well as her music producers. And I'm hoping we'll have that experience ready by April or May. That's the plan, at least.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, exciting stuff going on. I find this next question to be really interesting. And again, this is for you, Don. What do you recommend for students that are interested in architecture?
Architecture. Well, I guess it would depend. We do not have an architecture school here. I assume that there might be maybe some overlap with something like civil engineering or possibly construction management. We do have those two programs in bachelor's degrees, but we do not have an architecture school. So I would say that you might be able to, I don't know that you would be able to get a full architecture degree within the Engineering Plus curriculum, but you could maybe do part of the curriculum there and then maybe be able to transfer it. It's a very flexible degree program. So I would, yeah, I don't know that I would be able to help more than that. I don't know that I've seen any students that have transferred out with looking for an architecture program.
Yeah, no, thank you for tackling that. I knew that would be something that's important to address, of what might be the different routes you can take that, since we don't specifically have architecture. Anthony, back to you. And I think you just answered this in your last question, but diving into it a bit further, what are some examples of student portfolios, and do you have a favorite?
Oh, wow. Well, there's all sorts of things we've been doing. Favorite's tough because there's hundreds of projects now. So I mean, I can't say. We've done, so I think some strong examples coming out of the last class. Let's say I'll just refer to a few of those, I should say. We had won a national award for work we had done on an augmented reality application to help children with autism learn how to do handwriting. It's called ABC Stories. It's on the store right now. It's freely downloadable. That app is opened up about 800 times a week. And so that tells us that people, and probably it's being opened by therapists. So, I mean, I think even more children are being involved in the learning process. That particular portfolio artifact was very good for that team. It was a team of 7 altogether that worked on that, doing animations and programming for it. And I know, so I gave recommendations, of course, when they were off and during their job interviews. I know that this got brought up. I mean, when people would call me, I had a chance, they had seen it, obviously as a part of the student portfolio, and I had a chance to talk more about the project and what it means. And I think probably what ended up being most significant was the employers saw not only the skill that it took to make something like that, but the fact that it was done for a reason, a good reason, and in conjunction with an actual client who needed it. That's one. There's so many. I mean, we've done animations. We've won awards for film festivals. If you want to come by the GIM lab on a Friday, we'll show them to you. There's just all sorts of. There's just a lot of creative things going on, and it's constant. There's hundreds of projects happening all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I know that's a hard question to answer because there's so much to talk about and all the exciting stuff that's happening. Don, back to you. So believe you mentioned that there's a biomedical engineering course, and what are those courses like? How can one best set themselves up for a career like that?
Well, actually we have several things biomedical. We have a biomedical minor and a biomedical engineering minor and a biomedical engineering certificate. And we also actually have a PhD in biomedical engineering. So there's several different layers of what you can involve yourself in. And we really think of biomedical engineering as a transdisciplinary degree program. And so a lot of faculty are participating from a wide variety of disciplines. So you'll see people from biology, in the arts and sciences college, participating, as well as kinesiology and health sciences, and several different groups within engineering, including mechanical and electrical engineering, and to some extent computer science. And so it's really a transdisciplinary area that we see. And so in terms of getting involved in it, we've really structured these certificates and minors, particularly the certificates, to be packaged in with a standard undergraduate curriculum, where you could actually get the certificate within the open technical electives that you're offered. Like for mechanical, offers 4 different technical electives, and you can select those elective courses and get that certificate within those elective courses. And so you're really not out any additional credits, and so you can actually get quite you can customize your degree in a sense from an engineering standpoint. But I'd also say, we really have done a lot recently to grow and build that biomedical program. We've got some outstanding researchers. The faculty that I mentioned earlier, Erin Mannon, that's doing baby biomechanics. So she's like one of the only people in the world doing that work, that really impactful work on babies and the way that they move. I mean, a lot of people do sports biomechanics and things like that, and it's pretty common. But she's using those techniques and applying them into the infants, and so it's really interesting. Like her lab, she brings in babies all the time, and mothers are bringing their babies in, and she has to have like a lactation room and all the things that happen with babies. It's a very unique research environment. We have other people that are doing work on stem cells. We're seeing tendons, ligament research, and sometimes there's like repetitive motion injuries on ligaments. We're seeing faculty doing those. That type of research, any implants, people doing computational level modeling of movements. And so it's a wide range from cellular all the way up to full body applications of biomechanics. And so it's really pretty much just whatever really excites you about biomechanics. And it's certainly a very attractive area, and it's something that it's one of those where you can be an engineer, you can start designing solutions for people that make their lives better. And I think that's something it's really that purpose-driven engineering. Anthony was talking about it as well on some of his answers, but that idea that you're out there helping people live a better life is really something, and gives you a lot of pleasure inside. And it's easy to work hard and really have to put your nose to the grindstone to be successful, because that's where it leads to.
All right, thank you for answering that. So I know we are out of time now. We got through a lot of questions. I know you might still have questions now at this point. So if you all want to get connected with these different colleges, I'm going to talk through that next and the different ways that we can. But Don, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate all the insight you all had to offer. So really appreciate that. Right. Okay, so talking about those different ways that you can stay connected and we can get you more information. So like I mentioned, if you were interested in talking more with the College of Engineering or the College of Innovation and Design, go ahead and scan that QR code that you see right there on your screen. So this is an academic appointment request form that's going to set you up with a virtual appointment with any of college that you're interested in. So whether it be the 2 that we had the opportunity to hear from tonight, or if you're interested in something else, feel free to scan that QR code and that will take you to the link that will get you set up with those appointments. So you can also take a picture of this so you can save it for later, whatever works best for you. We also want to let you know that if you want to come check out our campus, we would love to host you in person. So talking about our in-person visits, we also have virtual future student sessions as well. So our next one is going to be on December 7th. So it's coming up here in a few weeks. You can actually go ahead and visit visit.boisestate.edu and go ahead and enroll for that event. Like I said, if you want to come check us out in person, we also do offer tons of campus tours, whether that be Monday through Friday. You can come to one of our traditional events. We also have different select Saturday events, whether that be Discover Boise State. We also have Blue and Orange Saturdays and lots of different options for you to come check out what Boise State is like in person, which I always recommend, whether you're debating on going to Boise State or whatever school it may be that you're interested in, go to check it out in person. It's an absolute game changer. Besides that, the last thing I would like to speak on tonight is really, if you all have any questions, we are here to help you out in this process. So that QR code that you see on your screen is actually going to connect you to your designated admissions counselor. So wherever you're coming from, you have someone that is going to be your representative that is able to answer any questions that you may have and really assist you throughout the application process in your journey to becoming a Boise State Bronco. So we'd love to answer any questions that you all have, and we'd love to stay connected with you all. Again, I'd like to thank you for attending with us tonight. And besides that, go Broncos. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you all.